Go. Hey, g'day guys, Kristen Harper here. Welcome to the Rosebank Leadership Series. So in this series I'm talking to some of the business leaders in the Rosebank area just around what they've been doing to, I wouldn't say grow the business, but to pivot in how they're working with their staff through this COVID-19. And as of yesterday, we're nearly down at level 2, which is exciting news. But today, I'm talking to Mike Hannan, who's the owner of the Spark Business Hub in Waitakere, and look forward to getting some insights from you, Mike. So, hey, look, if you could, introduce yourself, a wee bit about your background, and it would be great to hear how your experience, I guess, now in your previous roles, has actually prepared you for this, because it's uncertain times, eh?
100%. Thanks, Kristen. My immediate background, I guess, is just having celebrated in the middle of COVID-19 3 years of owning the Spark Business Hub Waitakere.
Oh, well done.
So got there, kind of. And
I think a pandemic to throw in a wee challenge there.
Yeah, exactly right. As I was just saying briefly to you before, it's been a pretty cool 3 years in terms of interaction with the RBA and the exposure and that kind of how solid that network is. And that and as a result of that, the ability for us to go into something like this and then still feel like we weren't just sort of sitting out there completely by ourselves.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. From a broader background perspective, I'd had kind of 12, 15 years in FMCG, sales, marketing, commercial roles with DB Breweries and Treasury Wine Estates. So big believer in kind of in building great relationships.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, some larger organisations which, and as a small business owner but part of Spark's broader footprint, I guess, very lucky to be part of businesses with really strong business continuity planning.
Yes.
So that's a luxury I've had from background and even in my current kind of business ownership role.
Yeah. And how has the last 6 to 8 weeks impacted your business?
Somewhat fortunate in the nature of having kind of contracted customer base for the most part, but certainly what it has done is it shifted our organisation from probably a 50-50 sales and service business to probably a 90-10 service-based business.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a time to drive sales in an aggressive manner. It's certainly been, hey, let's do everything we can to look after our existing customer base.
Yeah.
Make sure that where there's flexibility in planning to enable people to dial up data and work from home more successfully, or if people are unfortunately letting some staff go, how we can kind of try and flex with them, so they're in the best position to, I guess, come out of it and hopefully try and resurface or re-establish their business. So real service mindset, I guess, has been a driver for us.
And coming out of the level 2, do you think that will be, I guess, a bit of a pivot for your business, or do you think you'll get back to what you were doing before or have more of a service focus? And the reason I ask that, Mike, is other discussions I've had is a lot of the other business owners that I've spoken to have also said that this has given us time to do stuff that we hadn't done in the past, that we've been wanting to do for a long time, and sort of having to pivot our business. So do you think there'll be much change with what you've been doing to what you may do in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I think that the structure of our business and the way we engage and the services we provide to other businesses means kind of the jump of levels for us it probably doesn't have the immediacy as it might for some industries. I think for us, it's a more of a medium, longer term play. It kind of lines up with what we've kind of the key activity we're already driving, which is to get really, really close to our customers and understand their businesses more end to end.
Yeah.
So that then we can slice in the right service offerings to enable them to be more productive, more efficient, reduce cost base, enable flexibility, whatever it might be. So, we've probably one of our key kind of things we've brought to the table is some IT partnerships, as because the conversations we have around kind of the classic IT, how many mobiles do you have, how much data do you use? It's really more, who are the people using those services?
What are they using them for? How often do they use them, and
where are they when they're using them? Are they and that'll be even more telling, I guess, as people find this new equilibrium between work from home, remote working by some other kind of definition, or more traditional in venue or in office kind of base work. So we me and my team, we're not geniuses around technology, but we certainly are effective and becoming more so in terms of how can we splice in the right thing to support what people are doing.
Have the right conversation at the right time. And I know we were speaking earlier around, I guess, as a sales organisation, when do you have those conversations, especially with what we've been going through? And it is about showing a bit of empathy and timing and stuff like that as well, and asking those questions.
And for my guys, we've got some really good sales guys, but gearing up their commercial acumen. So we've got a SME base. We're talking to business owners. We're talking to people who are really close to their employees. So we need to be stronger in our kind of appreciation of CapEx and OpEx, and making sure that the structure of what we're delivering not only is an enabler for the business, but is put together in a way that gives the right level of either OpEx stability, because they can contract in something fixed, or something that allows for a business that's possibly going to experience kind of layers of change over time.
And I think with those layers of change, it could be the next 3 to 6 to 9 months, because we've got the effects right now. You've got the wage subsidy, and then there's going to be a whole lot of other trickle-on effects. And a few of the other conversations I've had is that I think sometimes even myself, I don't realise how far-reaching that domino effect is for so many.
And the interconnection, absolutely, so I think that's a really scary proposition as a business owner. Your reliance on other businesses, and that's in a direct kind of exchange. I guess mechanic, but it's also on the timing of that exchange, how that's going to impact people's cash flows. So one person's pressure point can have a ripple effect pretty strongly.
I think that's what Mike and the team have done really well with the RBA, and now's the time to really leverage those relationships within the Rosebank area. I think there's something like 700 businesses, and really encourage that we all can help each other, because if there's ever a time to do it, now's the time, and to strengthen those relationships. But look, finally, Mike, what would be one piece of advice you'd give to other leaders that are going through the same thing? You can't say that some are and some aren't. Pretty much everybody's going through it, aren't they? So it's a
I'm fortunate. I've got a business partner, but I'd really stress finding someone who's either an existing partner, or a senior person in your business, or a mentor, or maybe it's someone you haven't touched base with kind of in this sort of way before. It might be someone like Mike Gibson might be able to recommend someone, or it might be someone you're having formal coffees with at the Rosebank kitchen, but you might want to just see if you can take some time, because I think the advice I'd be giving is the impact of communication with both your customers, and I think probably a lot of people can do that pretty effectively, and they're used to leading that out. But the communication and the complexity of that with your team, and the tension between how much they need to understand the pressures you're having as a business owner, and the reality of that versus are you creating that right amount of tension, positive tension, and not stress. And I think that's that's a really big challenge at the moment. You know, like going into this, it was sort of the old calm is contagious.
Yeah.
You know, people in the business wanted to know the steps and what you were thinking as a leader. And coming out of it's going to be, I think, potentially more challenging because the runway of what people are going into is going to be probably more dynamic and way more varied. We all probably had a reasonably similar experience going into level 4.
I think that
coming out.
Yeah, I think that's really key as a business owner and leader, as well as you're saying, is it's actually showing a wee bit of vulnerability. When you show that vulnerability, I think it makes you more approachable for your teams in that as well, and saying we're all on this together and we're moving in the same direction. Whereas I think a lot of people wouldn't do that. So I think that's great. So Mike, appreciate your time, mate, and look forward to speaking to you.
Cool. All good. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, Chris.